Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Techniques, electricity, computer science, innovation,
And we know that it's a brainstorm.
Yourself, after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one. Hello everybody and welcome to Brainstorm. How delighted we are today on this platform to discuss another issue on this talk show. Strike and human rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is one of the burning issues that preoccupy a lot of Congolese people, especially public servants, whenever they want to claim their rights and they demonstrate. So is it fair on how can they do it in order to get what they desire? They want to do it satisfactorily. So we want to spend time together on this stage with my friend whose name is Romilly. Romilly, how are you doing?
I'm good.
It's the first time to come here on this platform to discuss this very important issue, right?
Yeah, this is my first time of being here discussing about this important issue, which is all the strike and human right in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I want to tell you that Romilly is a motivator and a coach in English teaching. So it's well placed to spend this time together with me to talk a lot of the things about the strike and human rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So before we try to explain these things in depth, I want to know the word strike, what it means to you in a professional context.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for the floor given. Strike, what does it mean exactly? Strike is the fact that workers, they have the agreement to stop working for some kind of reasons. They can be for the interest of also the advantages. They stop working for some kind of reason, as I said, interest or advantage. This kind of fact that normally and automatically they can be called strike.
Okay, so they don't do it randomly, but they want to do it and plan in order to get what they want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you think there is a link between strike and human rights?
Yeah, there is a link between strike. There is a link between strike and human right.
Right. Okay, that's something important. But we cannot talk about strike and human rights without knowing what human rights stands for. Ladies and gentlemen, as we discuss this very important or crucial matter, strike and human rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But we'd like to know what is human rights. Please watch this video that defines it, and we'll be back.
Human rights. What are human rights? Human rights are the fundamental freedoms and protections that belong to every single one of us, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, religion, or beliefs. Rights are about being treated and treating others fairly and ensuring everyone can make choices about their own lives. They're about justice, freedom, and equality. Here's a quick breakdown of your rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that all humans are born free and equal in dignity and in rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of kinship, which means that no matter who you are, the very fact that you're a human being grants you these rights. Your life is your life, and it cannot be unjustly taken from you just because some people don't like you, and that is regardless of what nationality you are, cultural background, religion, or political views. You may not be forced into slavery, and you're not required to follow any social obligations, constraints, or restrictions others might feel you have due to your race, sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. You have the right to start a family and own property, and nobody can say that you can't. If you become sick, you have the right to healthcare. You also have the right to education and any other necessary social services, such as disability care, for example. No person or entity can ever take these rights away from you. If your government infringes on any of these rights, you have the right to seek asylum and refuge in another nation. At work, You have the right to fair working conditions, fair and equal pay, and the right to join and form trade unions to protect your interests. You also have the right to rest and leisure, including holidays. If you have a run-in with the law, you may not be subjected to any cruel or unusual punishment, and you cannot be punished before first being proven guilty in a court of law. If you feel a law is unjust, you have the right to protest, making phone calls, writing to your leaders, or by peacefully taking it to the streets. These rights are there to protect you and your loved ones. They also exist to protect your neighbours, your friends, your rivals, and even people whose opinions or lifestyles you don't agree with. These are some of your human rights, yours and everyone else's. Together, we can protect them. When we do, all our lives are better and we create a better world for everyone.
All right. Now, so does the concept strike have the same connotation in the Democratic Republic of Congo? Because it's a general concept. Do we understand it in the same context in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or is there any difference with other countries?
Yeah, okay. Thank you again for the floor given. Struck as the same connotation exactly in Democratic Republic of Congo. Even exactly the understanding of this stuff seems to be very crazy for the government, because we got some public services, they have to do such things, and in the turn back or in the return they have to have anything. But I think about speaking, theory speaking, we have the same connotation. But putting this thing in action, it simply means in practice we don't have the same connotation like some kind of countries like abroad, like that happen in the United States of America, France, and some countries like that. But I mean, theory speaking, we have the same connotation, but in practice, we don't have it.
So in practice, what do you notice when in public servants or workers demonstrate? Is there any difference? What do they do? What they should have done and they do which is not in accordance, or they don't comply with what the law says?
I mean, what the public service, they said, it can be crazy when it's out of the law. It can be crazy when it's out of the law, but they have got the right. They have the right to demonstrate it when they see there's a problem, when they see there is anything like I tried to define in the first term, but I think that strike is the agreement of workers when they decide to suffer for some kind of reasons, for the advantages. I mean, for you, government, you can say that this is against the law, but what I'm doing, if I still is one of the reasons that push me to claim my right, because I don't benefit anything, I'm doing anything back, but I need anything back, I don't have it, and this moment I can claim. But it simply means for the right that can seems like you have to work and they're going to pay you, but it seems a little bit really crazy with them. But when what I'm doing is exactly my right, it simply means I'm not out of the law. I'm in because I'm trying to respond and I need any kind of change according to what I need for what I'm trying to give like service. I need to have anything back, is what I mean.
Every now and then, there's a kind of misunderstanding between one hand the government and on the other hand the public servants or servants, right, or workers, as regards strike. So, what kind of problems actually strike solve in the country?
Okay, thank you so much for the floor given again. Strike can solve problems. You know, when I'm talking about strike can solve problem, I'm talking exactly I'm talking about related to working condition. Relating to work condition, what a strike can solve, because when we demonstrate it for some kind of reason, we need to have anything back, like a solution. But this is the first we're going to have that we call wages claim, because I'm demonstrating, I'm claiming for kind of reason. So once I'm doing it, I can have any solution back and any kind of thing like a solution, the resolving of this problem, that can be wage claim. But apart from that, strike can solve wage demand. Apart from wage demand, it can solve degrading according to work. For example, excessive working hours. When I'm demonstrating for that, I'm against for that. But when you see my voice is higher, and in this moment you can say that like your voice is higher, we have to change things, because when we talk about strike, it simply means you have to respect condition exactly according to the worker. I'm doing anything, but you have to do anything back according to what I need, but what I'm doing like services.
Okay, yeah. You say something. I from your explanations, it looks like you're a lawyer, something who knows what the law says. But with that view, strikers or workers who go down in the street, so sometimes it's stopped or prevented by police because it seems that they go beyond what the law says. So we'd like to know exactly, or the opinion wants to know. Is there any provision or Congolese legislation about the strike, what should be done and what should not be done when workers claim their rights?
Yeah, but I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to just give my point of view about this because I do research online and I've got some kind of thing that I'll write it down here. So normally we have some legislation according to the law that the government or the state they put it for workers, right? So normally legislation, what did it say? It said exactly this. Workers, they have the right to be in strike, to demonstrate, to be in strike. Why? Because this is a means of a professional, claiming, because they're claiming for the right. We got some law that push out to say this, you have to claim for this, you have to claim for that. But what I've already talked, online I can read it quickly. I say that the first is the Congolese constitution recognized that the right to strike for workers as a means of defending their professional interest. For example, we have a prohibition of strike in certain sectors. In certain sectors, it simply means when you want to demonstrate for strike, you can do it because the government trying to prohibit about this. Why? We got some sectors like some sectors like public safety and health. You can be in strike, but you can be in minimum. It simply means you can be a number of people. They can working, but it doesn't mean everybody they can be there for demonstrating. It simply means is your right to demonstrate, is your right to claim for what you need exactly. You need a solution for any kind of problem, is your right. But according to the legislation, and the law that we have in our country, that they're prohibiting that you can demonstrate for this, but there are some kind of sectors, it's something means essential sectors, when you want to demonstrate, you can be exactly there in a minimum of numbers.
So we need given the right, ask for in advance, because a public order should also be observed, right? Because you cannot disturb the public order when demonstrating, and also be guided by the states or the mayor or the government or things in that way is really good. So when workers respect that provision, things work well. All right, but now let's focus on, there are many sectors. I don't know if you can target some of them which workers are sometimes are working in bad condition. They claim the right from time to time. Which sectors you can name in the DRC where people need to be granted the right when they claim it?
Okay, we get a lot of sectors that you said, but those kind of sectors, we can name in here. I can take some kind of sectors, but the sectors now can be really focused that we see people are claiming every time is about sectors of teaching.
Education?
Education, sectors of education. This kind of sectors is like a little bit neglected. We see just on TV, people are saying that we need this, we need it, but when you see in reality, it's not what we need, what we deserve. Education sector is one of the sectors that we see striking is every time. Striking is, during a year, we can see maybe 4, 6, and that can bring a lot of problems, a lot of tragedy for students. That I can say about hard sectors, the sectors which is exactly not considering 100%, I can say is a sector of education.
Do you have some explanations on why this sector neglected? Teachers are poorly paid and sometimes unpaid. So what is the cause of this? Did the situation start today? So do you have some explanations to provide to the audience? Because a lot of people want to know, why are Congolese people poorly paid?
Yeah, when I'm talking about Congolese people are poorly paid, you say teachers, right?
Yeah, teachers, that's what I mean. Sector education.
Yeah, and in sector education, first, I think the problem is about neglecting. The problem is not taking education sectors, it simply means teachers, those who excel in this field, like the priority, because you got some priority, they're taking some sectors like the priority, well, this is the priority, this when they classify, they said this maybe is in the hand. I think the problem is the priority, apart from the priority, other. When they put other and the priority, things will be better. We have to see what kind of sectors that are working very good in our country. For example, we say the sector of, sport, the sector of transport, maybe things working there. There's something that you've already applied there for. You can take the same system and you bring in education. Things will be better. I see just the promise about priority. They don't take it in consideration just by saying, by theory. But when we talk about action and practice, no way.
Okay, you may be right by saying that, but there are also some details maybe you don't know. But if we try to analyze the situation, fake staff, the government has a budget to pay teachers or professors, but there are certain realities, so we cannot absolutely blame the government or blame those who claim their rights. But we want to observe the situation, start to analyze, and notice that there's a kind of negligence or workers or public servants, namely teachers, are left behind. So, this video helps highlight why most of teachers demonstrates when they are not paid or poorly paid. Please watch this and we'll be back.
The new school term has started, but things are far from normal. Public school teachers are on strike demanding a pay rise and better working conditions.
It has started today, just the beginning of the strike. We don't know when it can take place, when it can't last. We don't know. We are still waiting. If our conditions are, let's say, bettered, we'll stop it.
Teachers complain the public education sector has been underfunded for years and poorer schools have limited resources.
To be honest, we are not happy with what they are paying us. Some of us are paid less than $100 a month. You still have to pay rent, school fees for our children, and transport with only $100.
The education minister says the government is negotiating with striking teachers. She hopes things will get back to normal.
I want to thank parents who sent their children to school, but I have to be honest, the number of children in school is not what we were expecting. Attendance here is less than 50%. In some of the other schools, it's less than 30%. I hope this improves.
Parents say another reason why class attendance is low is because of the state of the economy. Angel Mukanina and her friend Bridget Tetila say they don't like seeing their children stuck at home, but they can't afford the tuition fees in their kids' public school.
The school fees are expensive. We pay between $300 and $400 for each child. Our salaries are so little, we can't afford it.
Analysts say the political crisis is creating uncertainty and damaging the economy. President Joseph Kabila's term of office officially ended last year, but he remains in power. The Electoral Commission has delayed elections because it says the government can't afford them. The Congolese franc has lost 30% of its value against the US dollar. Economists say it's one of the world's worst performing currencies. Inflation keeps rising, but people's wages aren't. Until the economy improves, striking teachers say they won't return to classrooms. Concerned parents worry their children will suffer the most. Haru Matasa, Al Jazeera, Kinshasa.
Okay. There's a saying that goes this way: a worker deserves his wages. Does this apply in the DRC?
Good question. I do like it. So the workers deserve his wages. If this thing is applied exactly in Democratic Republic of Congo, my country, everywhere we say this thing can be applied. Now, the wages, the workers, it deserve, because I'm doing one thing, I need to have anything back, right? But in DRC, this, I can't say no in 100%. What I can say no, because we see that in theory by speaking that you deserve this, but when you get into the action, we don't say that. It simply means deserving your wages simply means anything that must be respected in 100%. You have to respect first, second, third, maybe till the 10, a thing that they have already planned before being hired in any places, before being a worker. But you see, maybe they can respect two conditions, but other conditions are neglected. And this kind of concept that I can say no. I can say no, because we only see people are working hard, but what they're having back is not consistent, is not anything that can help them. By respecting condition, maybe there are some kind of condition they can respect, but in 100 about this kind of concept that you said, I can say no. It simply means the theory, but not the action.
You yourself are a student, and you know what's happened lately. Teachers or professors went on strike. It took something like maybe months. And they came back. But the students still remained silent. They didn't say anything. And we noticed that they paid their academic fees, and yet prevented or deprived of education. But when they don't pay, they kicked out or put out of the classroom because they don't pay their academic fees. So what do you think? Professors deserve better than the students? They know their right, and students don't know their right, because sometimes when professors go on strike, students suffer or are victims. So what can you say? What is your comments on that?
So my comment is, professor that deserve in the side, student that deserve in the side. So it doesn't mean that professor that deserve more than student, or student that deserve more than professor, because if student are not there, professor, you can't be a professor. How come people can call you professor without student? Simply means, how come they can call you a president without a population? It simply means we must be there as a student, and you two professors, you must be there for us, because if we absent, we can't be called a professor. So I mean, both sides we deserve. But the problem is what? When they're going strike, the professors that are going to strike, they demonstrate it for the causes. They demonstrate it for the problems that are facing, bad pay, they don't receive anything that can help them to keep themselves, so for their needs, for something like that. But the problem is, well, we suffering. Why we suffering? Because we got any kind of consequences back. But something means, because we paid our academic fees, we need to have the full occasion of studying in 100%, because we can be there, but the professors are not there. They can send us some kind of assistant. That is the problem. But for this, we need to have any kind of, not really law, any kind of a thing that I can say that can be plain for student. Once you know that professor that instruct, you can knock in this door in a view of finding solution according to your problem. But till now, we can demonstrate it being out. I don't know if it's the good way, but we need any kind of professional way that can help us to know exactly our right as a student. That can be better.
It seems that professors recognize their right, and they know their right. That's why they claim it. But students apparently don't know their right, though, so there is no way for them to claim it. And you think it's a matter of a good organization to have a delegation, a trade union, or students themselves. They can, through a delegation, try to go to know what the law really is. Because they deserve to study. They deserve a quality education.
Yes.
They pay their academic fees. Some of them are responsible. So you as a student, I know that you are a motivator. So what can you tell students on behalf of them? What can you do to find as a strategy so that in the days ahead, when there is a cases of strike on the part of professors, so that you may not be a losers?
Yeah, we can't be a loser. For the fact that we can't be a loser, sometimes means we have to find a good solution on this problem. What I'm talking about a good solution, sometimes means student, we must have a delegation. Doesn't mean yourself you can go, because if you can go, you can be received maybe. If you have a trade union, a delegation of people, you go for the problems, and you may, or you face to whom it may concern. For this problem, you say that this problem is about this, about this. I know it's a process. It's a long process of stuff that can take a long time, but the fact that we've already started this, you can find a solution about it. I think like students that are there, maybe they know they're right, but they don't know the good way, the good solution, how they can find a good solution if you have going through to face this problem. What I can say is to have a big delegation, a trade union. About this, you can talk, about meeting, you find a good solution. After that, you go to whom it may concern, and after that, you can find a good solution for students in view of knowing our right, because we're paying our academic fees. We need the higher and the better quality education.
There's a difference between the former students and the Democratic Republic of Congo and the days of students. And you think that the government can help the students to get to know their rights, or you yourself as a student have to do your best to read and to investigate in order to find what your right really is? Because it seems that you are just like, it's a sorry to notice that. It's even sad to notice that students are behaving like a high school pupils. Or they don't say anything.
They're silent.
Treated this really sad. So you as a motivator, I think this is an opportunity given because you're going to speak, even the state goes on to watch the way you say.
Yes.
In order to help folks understand what they can actually do. Should the government help students be provided the means of rights, human rights awareness, or they have to do it themselves to get by in order to claim their rights?
Okay, thank you for the floor given. But as I till now, the government doesn't do anything for students. For example, for the right, it simply means ourselves, we must be up. Ourselves, we have to recognize that in this moment, I think that the going is going bad. Once we know that, it simply means once you know your problems, you know all things, you will take all this problem and you bring it back to the government. The government is like God. It's not like God. Some means that they're waking in the morning say that student, they have to do such thing. That things is bad for themselves, for their side, or things is bad in another side about this. No, I think students themselves, as I said in the previous line that I said, they have to have the delegation. This kind of delegation. Once they are there, they said, our right is about this, is about this. How can you know this right? We have got books, right? You can read books when you got this kind of knowledge. You make a delegation, and that you have to face the government if you have bring a solution into your problem. That would be better. But it doesn't mean the government himself, one day you wake up, they say that, I have to give a solution for students. Maybe can I heard about demonstrating, about striking, about disorder on TV. Then this moment when you say this kind of demonstrating of student, that can make a first step. Without knowing all these things, it seems impossible for the government to do anything. And the government will remain silent. That is something means the good stuff. As a student, we have to do our first step. It doesn't mean we have to do like in ancient time, like being there, making disorder, fighting against police. You have to throw this, they have to throw anything back. We have to do it properly in the good way, and the government is going to give us a solution.
Right, but apart from strike, is there any other means that people can claim their rights? Because honestly speaking, the states misview or misunderstand the way people demonstrate, maybe destroying public properties and so on. So is there any other ways workers can claim their rights, even students claim their rights without demonstrating? Is there any other means?
Without demonstrating?
Without demonstrating.
But I think apart from strike is for workers. I mean, strike is for workers. For students, it can be possible for them for working. They can work by having maybe any kind of the same jersey or the same T-shirt they're writing down. For example, we need our right. May they write it down here. Once they're working, is a message that you give it to the government. This can be any kind of strategy they can use. Even about workers, it doesn't mean when you work, it sometimes means you instruct. Maybe you work for warning. You work for giving them the good extension. They have to listen what we need. But it doesn't mean when you're working, it sometimes means you instruct. You can work, but you are not instruct. It's sometimes means a message that you have to give. For example, for the public service, we need this, but what you're doing is out of what we need. It sometimes means, apart from strike, we can work too. Working by giving a good message, maybe with a T-shirt, maybe with a jersey, the message that can be really captured to the government. When they see that, they can bring exactly solution to this problem or to his issue.
Public servants or students, professors are not the only ones to claim their rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Drivers as well go on strike sometimes for the bad road conditions. Please watch this video and we'll be back.
Drivers of bus companies at Beni in the DRC are on strike after suspending trips on the Beni-Butembo road. The drivers have been complaining about the poor state of the road, difficulties in driving due to slow rehabilitation has caused pain to the drivers, who are sometimes obliged to push their cars before being able to reach their destinations. The road is not good at all. It is supposed to help all of us, including the governor, mayor, and the city police. They all use this road. The food we have today is thanks to this road. We pay taxes every day, but we don't see the impact of the taxes we pay. As the strike continues, the drivers' union is also engaged in dialogue with DR Congo officials, during which they have been requesting the departure of Chinese enterprise Sopeco. We are requesting that the government should stop the contract with Chinese company Sopeco in charge of rehabilitating the road. The road has not been well rehabilitated ever since they came here. The drivers' protest at Beni is having negative consequences on traders. The poor state of roads has led to an increase in prices.
Right, but now, to meet workers' needs is a matter of human rights or willpower? Political willpower.
I understand exactly your question. I mean, this, what I would like you to give the answer, I mean, is about willpower. I said about willpower because we have some kind of workers, they need this thing. They need to have anything back, but there is any kind of power. This kind of a hand that cannot decide about everything. Maybe you're there, you're suffering, you're doing what you need just to do for the good stuff, for the good things, but receiving anything back to become difficult. It's not a problem of human right. The willpower is there. Sometimes it's like the microphone is there, but any person is there, is speaking without a microphone, and I take the microphone, I put it there. It's not exactly the human right, but the willpower, when he decided to give the microphone, automatically the microphone will be given. But I said this problem is about the willpower.
I'd like you to speak bluntly. All right. On one hand, we have the government. On the other, we have workers or public servants.
Yes.
But, let's talk about realities I talked earlier, about realities in public companies, for instance. Let me give an example. We have in a public corporate, we have 50 workers that are known and registered by the states.
Yes.
But when it comes to paying money at the end of the month, only 20 and 30 are not present, not there. And the state provides money for 50 public servants, but actually only 20 who come to work every day. So you think that the government is to be blamed, to put the blame on the government or the public service sometimes, because there are certain realities. Fake staff. You think that this issue should be the matter of human rights or the political will? The money is there by the state, the budget is there, but there are people who don't work, but they want to earn money every end of the month. So what can you say about this situation?
About this situation, what I can say is the government, when the government is there, the government can put people everywhere. It doesn't mean the government can work everywhere. Easy. Here is there. They have to put specific people according to the specific domain. And when those people, they are there are some people, they are not honest. They want to receive everything did for them. They want this to receive money for themselves. That we can see in the registration, they can have some fake name. Those names, normally in the reality, this name don't exist. They just had it that. And for example, you see, the government knows that we have 50 people, 50 persons inside of this corporation, but normally they are 29. When the government is going to send money and going to see that maybe 20 to be for the head of the service, and others they're going to give to others. I mean, this problem, we can't blame the government. We can't blame the government. But the only way that we can blame the government is when it doesn't do the investigation, because it must be there in a place to know exactly how things is going. It's going well, it's going, but it doesn't mean when you put things or you create new things, you cross just your hand, you say you give 100 trust to people, but you have to come there, check every time. If you check, in this moment, things will be better. If you don't check, you see problems will be. So those people, they are lower and they don't have a big power of demonstrating about this problem. I mean, just the government, we can't blame him because if he doesn't do his best in the view of coming to check and kind of doing his investigation. If he doesn't do it, that should be a problem. But if he used to come to check things that is going, in this moment we can't blame him. We can't blame him if he doesn't do anything, because you can just set people there, they're working, you don't control them. You have to control them, see how things is working.
Okay, it means that the government has control of everything in every sector they know. This video helps us understand that in addition to public service or Congolese citizens who claim their right to when it comes to their salary, their working conditions, the government as well does something to protect human rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So please watch this video and we're back.
There are a range of human rights concerns in the Democratic Republic of Congo, ranging from sexual gender-based violence issues in the war zones or in the conflict zones, which still prevail in the DRC, to social inequities, to the political rights not being properly protected. And so what the Carter Center does is work with civil society organizations to enable them to better protect the rights of citizens, or to enable them to claim those rights in terms of advocacy and lobbying. But it is also important to support them in terms of dialogue with government institutions, so that it's not a confrontational kind of setup that we're supporting, but really very much how can we strengthen the dialogue and the protection of human rights with civil society organizations and government institutions as well. When we started out our activities in DRC, we had a lot of human rights NGOs that came up to us and said, we need support. We need to find a space where we can meet, where we can discuss these types of issues, where we can have access to training and to knowledge and to information. And so we decided to set up the Human Rights House, which provides all of these things to human rights NGOs in Kinshasa. So they have access to training to be able to have the tools to advocate in a more efficient way for government reform and to protect more effectively the rights of citizens. It is a critical moment with regards to the election, and I think the feedback we've been getting from all of our partners is that on the one hand, there's a lot of questions with regards to how these elections were held, how they were organized, and the results. A lot of our Human Rights House partners are scared of the consequences of making declarations. Oftentimes they tell us, okay, but you make declarations and then you leave. But no, we are here to continue supporting them, and that's the bridge between an international observation mission and our ongoing activities in the DRC, is that we're here to continue supporting you in that regard.
All right. We're nearing at the end of our talk show. It was very interesting discussing together with you.
Yeah, good.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the positive change that could occur regarding strike in the days ahead? Mm-hmm. Things could change or remain the same?
I mean, I'm optimistic. Yeah, things can change. In the days after, things can change, because when things change, we need to set new strategy, new system. But once we put it or we apply this thing for, you see that things will be better. We hope things will be better in the future. In the future, things will be better once we know how to put a good system and to put a good people and to know how to deal with it. Things can change, and strike, maybe not to finish strike, but to decrease a little bit this kind of rate of strike, because every time strike, to decrease that, things will be better for us.
Your last word as regards this topic, and something you can say to your friends and those who can be also interested in this program.
Okay, thank you so much. I do appreciate this. This is my first time being here with Mr. Gita Hombi being here.
You can look at the camera to tell something.
Yeah, I'm very happy being here in this shop with receiving by Mr. Gita Hombi. What I can say, this is a good place that English speakers is a Mahibi here in a view of sharing the experiences, sharing the knowledge according to the development in our country. What I can say, just my last word, I say to the big up to my mother, my lovely mother, Mama Ladi, I do love you. I can't forget my friends, Derek, Jean-Marc, my monitors, Mr. Rodrigue, Wonder, Michael, Moisette, everybody, I do love you. And I can't forget to my wonderful club, Sunset English Club. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, Ramli, thank you for coming.
Yes.
I was glad to welcome you on this platform to discuss this very important issue.
Thank you so much.
We're very happy at the end of our talk show. It was really wonderful with my lovely friend, Ramli. We discussed this very important matter. Strike and human rights in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was my pleasure. I thank all those who work behind the camera, all the technicians, Vangu, and all the friends of Joel, Kaniki, those who work so hard to make that things work in the setting up this talk show, Brainstorm. And you, audience, I'd like you to remain loyal or faithful to the second national channel. Thank you for watching. In the days ahead, we're going to discuss all the vital issues. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned on the next second national channel. Bye. Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Electricity, computer science, innovation, yeah.
And we know that it's a brainstorm.
Yourself, after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one.